Today is Sunday, August 7th, and I just got finished with my 20-minute run. So if you saw my video yesterday, you saw that I had this very big brownie, which was, it was 6 inches at the base in diameter and about 8 inches at the top, and it had chocolate vanilla ice cream, whipped cream with some chocolate drizzle. I got up this morning, I felt great, decided to go for a run. I didn't have nothing. I did my usual, I warm up with a warm bath, and I've also seen a lot of videos, from different exercise gurus from years ago, of course, from Jane Fonda and Kathy Smith, Karen Voigt, Richard Simmons, and a lot of the people that I worked with at HealthWorks in Cambridge were very helpful. So I've tried to apply all those principles, and I'm very fortunate to be able to do what I can. But I know what I said yesterday. I think I said that I eat good. I do eat well, and so today will be a good day, and we'll get back on track. But I had some really interesting thoughts go through my mind before I go to church. It was very, very interesting. I don't know if I'll be able to capture all of them, and I'll try to keep this very short. Now, I haven't really made any theological blogs. And one thing, I do say this in other videos, again, I will say a lot of the videos cross over, but N.T. Wright said that Christians were basically, and I think it may have started with the apostle, the idea of the study of God, or maybe it was a little after the first century, that when people began studying God and the mechanics of Christianity, and a discipline arose called theology, which I believe ology is am I right? Is it the study, and theo is God? So I found that quite fascinating. Now, this certainly is not a persuasive argument. These are just some thoughts that occurred to me that were pretty fascinating, and I thought I'd go ahead and share them with you. I don't even remember how they started, and so let's see if I can move backwards the way I came and where I ended up. There are a lot of people who are at peace with a lot of data out in the world, and sometimes it can be it may create some either cognitive dissonance or confusion or frustration. But there are a lot of people who are at peace with that level of knowledge or information or wisdom that is out in the world, because they love the fact, and I will say I'm one of those people, I love the fact that there is more data than I'll be able to understand, because there's enough out there that will help me on my walk in this world. Now, C.S. Lewis is one of my, I would say one of my favorite people, heroes, maybe mentors from the books I've read. From the very first time I felt like I was introduced to him at Oklahoma Christian College. I think it was Dr. Palmer's class when we read The Great Divorce. And that is a sort of a metaphorical look at a person's journey from the lower levels up into the heavenly realms, and becoming more solid, and then walking with, I think it was the sun, becoming more solid so that the grass doesn't hurt their feet. So there's this concept that going to heaven, it will involve growth. And then of course the Narnia series that he wrote, I did read a couple of those books, watched I think every movie. And Lewis's background, Tolkien, who was a Catholic, converted, was a very, very strong Christian, committed Christian, was instrumental in Lewis's conversion to Christianity. Lewis did choose Anglicanism, the Church of England, for his reasons. And the Anglican philosophy basically is to live at peace with Christianity as a whole, and to find ways of sort of interjecting. And this is what I have learned from visiting different fellowships, to hear from their own lips what it is that they believe and why. Methodism is a lot the same way. Now, Anglicans do participate in the communion every week, and they range from a very low church to high church, to very little ceremony and liturgy to high. Methodism has a little bit of that as well. They do tend to have communion once a month. However, people are, and this is what I found in a lot of fellowships, people are very open to having the communion sometimes when they get together for a study or a meal or whatnot, to go ahead and have that celebration. So I know that the New Testament said that Christians had communion as often as they got together. And I know when I grew up, there were times where I think we, as we got together to have fun, sometimes we might have a spiritual time and reflection, which I really, in hindsight, I do really, really respect that a lot. To be able to, especially when the group as a whole has those tenets as their bedrock, to be able to celebrate that on some level after watching a soccer game or getting together and doing, whatever it is, fellowship. All right, so the thought that came to me was our small group is reading Mere Christianity, and the group that was just really touching to me was C.S. Lewis's, I think it was his, and I also read the Screwtape Letters, which is the story of a senior devil named Screwtape mentoring a younger devil named Wormwood. And so Wormwood has a patient. I think that they call human beings their patients, and they call the evil one the father, and they call God the enemy. And I think enemy is actually capitalized, so it's very interesting. And then The Abolition of Men is really good. It's kind of a deconstruction of some of the philosophies that were prevalent during C.S. Lewis's time, and I can't go into it. It is a little more heady. And I remember there was a section called Men Without Chest. So there's this idea that our head and our heart have got to be connected, and when that isn't connected, that there's this concept that we don't have, that this middle part, the part that integrates the mind and the heart, is not integrated very well. So for those who bifurcate, we're going to be heady over here, and then we're going to be heart over here, but we can't integrate the two. There's a sense that we are men without chests, humans without chests. Now, there may be a wisdom in compartmentalizing those two, to maintaining our composure in certain scenarios, but it doesn't mean that we don't have feelings, deep feelings with regard to certain things, difficulties or celebrations. And of course, when it comes to observing that issue, sometimes it does not make sense. The emotional issues sometimes do not make sense. And so that's where the mind might not know what to do. And when the mind tries to make sense of something, sometimes the mind just has to say, I can't make sense of it. But I can feel with, and maybe that's where empathy comes from, I can feel with the pain. I will feel with the pain as much as I can. I will feel with the happiness, the excitement, the joy as much as I can. And, but I don't know that it makes logical sense to me. Almost like a spot thing. So, but then there are those things that do make sense, and they end up being connected to our emotions, and we say, okay, that makes sense, that's a good thing, let's celebrate. That's a horrible thing, let's mourn over that, or let's grieve over that. So of course, then there's those senses as well. Okay, that was The Abolition of Men. And there was another book that my sister-in-law and her husband gave me one Christmas called Miracles, which is excellent. So anyway, Mere Christianity, the thing that he said that really stood out to me, and there was a lot that led up to this, which I can't even go back and do that. It's not, but I thought that this was brilliant and very grace-filled. He talks about, the people in the world in general. There are people who, we all are made of raw materials. And he was saying, I have a lot more, I believe God has a lot more compassion towards the person who is given raw materials that are difficult to handle, such as maybe a particular set of genetics or an environment that they had grown up in and whatnot, or circumstances beyond their control, and finds a way to rise above it than the person who has a little bit more of a carpet rolled out for them genetically, environmentally, circumstantially, who can, the insides easily match the outside. And so there's a lot of credit in that. And I remember this wise person once saying that we're all stronger than we believe we are. And this was what was very sweet, very touching. The whole concept of the spirit being literally the strongest piece of raw material that we have. Maybe that is everybody understands that something drives us, our behavior, something drives our ontology, our belief of why we are here. Something drives that. What drives that? And what Lewis, the plea that Lewis is making with the readers is, believe that you are put in this world for a reason, for a purpose, and to find what that is, and to do it as well as you can, to do well with you, the best you can with what you have and who you are. That's paraphrasing Brene Brown. So there's a lot of psychology in that. I think it was an issue on psychology. So, I'm sorry, a chapter on psychology. There's more, and I think I'll do a part B to this, but I thought that was very, very precious. And one of the things that Lewis is saying is that the more that goodness is practiced and believed, the more it embeds, or it becomes, and now we're getting into sort of modern vernacular, it becomes embedded in our program. So when the program runs, the self-talk and the self-thinking is, I'm very precious. I'm beloved of God. Like one of the churches I went to, and that was one of the sermons that I had heard. I was put here to love and to receive love, and to be honest about my boundaries, that I can't go beyond a certain amount, and to accept the fact that some people cannot come beyond. But where our waves meet, where those waves meet, then let's celebrate and let's enjoy that time together. Because who's saying, it's a beautiful song, we may never pass this way again. Was that Loggins in Messina? I think it was Loggins in Messina. So anyway, I had gone out for this run. I have a really good playlist. And even though I know a lot of people might flinch at some of the people on my playlist, I listen to them for the music. I also admire a lot of the artists after I learned their stories and some of their spiritual walks or struggles or whatnot. But it kind of doesn't really matter. I think what matters is when there are things that are put out there that we enjoy, that we partake with them and just enjoy them, whatever it is that we do. So my playlist this morning was Barry Manilow's It's a Miracle, Queen's Hammer to Fall, let's see, George Michael's Freedom, Kenny Loggins' I'm Free. A lot of them, the beats are very similar, so they're at the pace that I can run, or I typically, well, actually I'm picked up my speed a little bit, which is good. U2's Where the Streets Have No Name. So that's it. I'll go ahead and just let you go. Thank you for stopping by Coffee and Good Stuff. Have a wonderful day, and we'll put a comma here.